Man, I'm kind of getting Mother of All vibes here.
Ooh, that's a hot mug, guy.
Hey guys, this is my review for The King of the Damned, episode 21 of Supernatural Season 9, the end of the Abbadon storyline. And we start off with an Andrew Dabb level MacGuffin when Abbadon somehow plucks Crowley's son out of the past and brings him to the future. For something that is so majorly how the fuck did she do that, it's quite a small, if barely significant plot detail in the entire episode.
How did you?
I know a spell or two, Crowley.
But before we get to that bit, we had to talk about the angel side. Now, there's this one angel who might as well call him Plot Convenience Angel. He's going around talking about how he's part of Metatron's crew. And while his introduction is terrible, it is actually a pretty cool reveal of Castiel as the commander. Dean and Sam arrive from that really urgent call that they got from the Bloodlines episode, and it just is pretty much to appear and see that Castiel has a pretty swaggy operation going on. I have no idea what this map is. I imagine it's supposed to be United States, but I don't know. Kind of play this game of good cop, bad cop, dumb guy, good guy with the angel to kind of not really find out too much. And in the end, the most important thing that they get out of the entire setup is a conversation with Sam and Castiel talking about what it was like having Gadriel in him and whether he could trust him or not. Plot Convenience Angel is killed mysteriously, so there's that, I guess. But oh, by the way, I'm adding this in post. It is never revealed who killed this guy. It is never revealed. Like, maybe it might have been one of Metatron's, I don't know, his minions or like his brain dead people that you see in the next episode, but it is never actually revealed in this episode who killed this guy. The whole angel bit just seems so inconsequential, but don't worry, that happens a lot in this episode. So the whole idea of why Abbadon brought Crowley's son to the future was to use him as a bargaining chip. After probably one of my favorite Crowley jokes in the entire show happens.
No one in the history of torture has been tortured with torture like the torture you'll be tortured with.
She uses his son until he kind of wants to get into a deal, and then nothing happens. Does this huge flex of power to essentially do nothing. There's this bit where Crowley's son is figuring out what a light bulb is, how to read, and then the outside, all the while Abbadon's just sitting off to the side, just kind of waiting for this whole fatherly son reunion to happen. I'm like, what is her plan in all of this? And don't worry, it gets worse.
You must be angels!
Wow. They make this deal to have the boys bring the blade to Crowley and Abbadon, and then they're going to kill the boys. When they get there, they are encountered by this hellhound, which you feel like there's more to it, but no, it just leads to a joke.
Hello?
Damon Crowley, the grave is guarded!
I'm getting a real consistent feeling throughout this whole episode. Sam's obviously worried about Dean trying to use the blade and whatnot, so he kind of wants to not hold it. Crowley uses the Poughkeepsie word to warn Dean.
Are we good? Yeah.
This is now officially some of the worst drama that I've seen in this show up to now. I'm not talking about future. This is Andrew Dabb level dumb drama going on. And then Abbadon proceeds to use all of her smarts into one single move with shooting Crowley with a Devil's Trap bullet. And that's it. Her intelligence goes right out the window because she lets Dean walk right in, and then she tries to push him against the wall. She had one goon, and that was it. And he's taken out pretty easily, unless you count the lamp that tries to attack Crowley. And then, yes, while maybe it is kind of cool on the surface seeing Dean be able to overpower Abbadon's powers with the mark and using force powers to bring the blades into his hands and the wind machines, it is essentially a mimicry of the steamroller scene from Austin Powers. That's what Abbadon feels like. She can do anything other than push him against the wall. Where's that gun from earlier? Why don't you just use that to shoot Dean? But no, she instead does absolutely near on nothing to defend herself and is killed. Is it a cool scene with the effects? Sure. But when you are looking at this entire thing from the outside in, you just find so many fucking problems with this episode. I'm not trying to be negative here. Originally I was like, okay, maybe I was being a little bit critical when I watched it. I watched this episode again, and it is still just as dumb. It is still just as silly. It doesn't make any sense. And then after Dean kills Abbadon, what was the point of Crowley's son? They just let him go? I thought they wanted to kill Crowley because he gave Dean the slightest incentive of how to take down Abbadon. That's it. That's what, like, that whole, oh yeah, we're gonna kill Crowley too thing completely flies out the window. And even though they talk about it later on, like, oh, maybe we might kill Crowley. Well, what the fuck? This is a episode of convenience amongst what should be some really cool shit. We have a son from the past appearing through MacGuffin powers and then just leads to some maybe kind of interesting jokes.
Sold it for an extra 3 inches of willy.
We have the villain, one of the big bads of this entire season, being taken out with almost zero ease. And then we have Dean and Sam having mistrust for no reason, and the episode ending with Dean just being a little baby, be like, no, you can't take my blade away. In the end, I'm actually going to be probably a lot harsher on this episode than I thought it was going to be. I am going to give King of the Damned a 3 out of 7. Like, holy crap, this sucked. Like, there's so many parts that could have been done well in this episode, and there are some cool bits, special effects, all that. There is some cool bits, but my word, we waited 21 episodes for that? My God. Anyways, those are my thoughts about this episode. Let's see what you guys have to say.
The problem is they create interesting characters, but in later seasons. Abbadon would have had the makings of a great villain, but was wasted. An episode where Cain and Abbadon met again would have been great. What Abbadon was to this episode, to me, is just a bit of what we could have had, but more. It's kind of odd. Like, they built this person up, came back from the dead after getting hacked to pieces, and yet nothing happens. It's a pretty disappointing end for the character. Like I said, this whole episode, she feels like she could have done something, but not anything at all. I love Dean and Sam's interrogation of the Angel. It's been forever since these two were funny together. Also love Crowley and Gavin's reunion. It's refreshing family side drama from the Winchesters being completely messed up, but still entertaining to watch. Everything went wrong with Abbadon. The season completely misused her. If not for her personality, I would have put her in the worst villains ever, like Raphael, Nick, Eve, AU Michael, and that lady who ran the BLM at BMLO. Yeah, I agree. First off, wouldn't have watched an Angel's Possession and come up with some way to save Sam. Second, I would have had Abbadon going on a rampage for the first half of the season, like destroying towns or eating babies, all leading up to her putting Dean in a situation where he had to choose between saving Sam or saving Kevin, and Dean would choose to save Sam. Afterwards, Sam would have been furious, berating Dean for not having chosen the gates of hell and accusing him of being literally selfish, and deliver that infamous line, "I wouldn't do the same," which Dean would blindly accepting the mark of Cain. So there are some good ideas with that as well, but like I said, there's two dynamics going on. Like, the whole idea of Kevin being killed by Sam is to put in the whole Metatron thing, because Metatron is, technically speaking, a villain, technically speaking. It also bothered me in season 13 when Sam started complaining about not closing the gates of hell, when at that point Sam had only encountered 2 demons in the second episode. Speaking of which, I find his outrage at the end hilarious. Dean didn't sideline Sam because he was overprotective because of the Mark's influence. It was simply based on how useful Sam has been. That's hard to argue, that one. I cannot express to you how much I love Crowley. He's such an interesting character, and I will never not be mad about how he went out, you and me both. They took his character and made him such a petty idiot in the latter seasons. I always loved his brains over brawn approach, his Machiavellian schemes, his ambition. He was like a Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, actually. Littlefinger was one of my favorite characters, that you couldn't trust him. This episode showed his depth, his resourcefulness, and his newfound humanity. I like the introduction of Gavin. I think the season had a lot of characters full of potential that the show didn't know what to do with. Abbadon, Cain, the Angel Civil War, and Gadriel. All of these things had no payoff. I mean, Castiel had an angel army for how many episodes? All that built up for what? Metatron manipulating them into leaving Castiel within one episode? You'll see when we come to the next episode. I have so many complaints about why it's all in that one episode when it could have been 5 episodes. King of the Damned concludes the off-screen civil war with demons that we had this season. It's depressing to think how Abbadon was set up as such a cool villain and little nothing, if anything, in this season. Even Dick Roman was a more prominent villain for the majority of the fans' least favorite season of Supernatural. The parts I genuinely enjoy are the character banter from everyone, and Dean being an unstoppable killing machine. Even though Dean killing Abbadon is basically using the Force on the first blade, and Abbadon only using Force push, it's satisfying to see Dean go overkill. Yeah, that part's interesting, but it's clearly like, ooh, fans. To me, the writers really did undervalue Abbadon. She's really easily defeated by Dean. As for Crowley, it was interesting to see how much of getting his humanity has changed him, and when it came to his son Gavin. I didn't like the actor who played him. I prefer the one from season 6. I understood why Crowley refused. Wait, his son was in season 6? Oh, I totally forgot about that. I refused why to send him back. Unfortunately, Dean and Sam are right about their consequences of change of the past. We saw an episode in season 12 and season 6, My Heart Will Go On. Yes, that was a good one. My Heart Will Go On was a good one. Well, there goes Abbadon. What was her plan exactly? She had Crowley dead to rights. There were a million different ways that she could have been avoided getting underwhelmingly jabbed by Dean. It's like she forgot she was a thing and had to quickly wrap up her own story, only to be replaced with an even more underwhelming villain who may get an even dumber conclusion. All that build up for nothing. Yeah, that's pretty much my point. She loses in the final period harder than the Toronto Maple Leafs have ever done.
All right, guys, that's it for that one. 2 left. We got Stairway to Heaven next, and then after that will be Do You Believe in Miracles? We'll see if season 9 can save itself, because but as always, give me your guys' thoughts about the Stairway to Heaven episode in the comments below, and I'll read those off in the next review. Thank you guys for sticking in with this, and we've got 2 more left. So if you like this video, leave a like, and if you're interested in more, subscribe. Discord link invitation is in the description below, as always. And until then, see you guys next week.